Mayor, Madam Clerk, would you please call the first topic?
Yes, the first topic submitted by the District 1 Supervisor, Supervisor Chan, is the future of road measures put in place during the pandemic, including in Golden Gate Park, the Great Highway, and slow streets.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Supervisor Chan.
Thank you, President Walton, and thank you, Madam Mayor, for being here with us today. As you know, there has been a lot of attention on the future of road measures put in place during the pandemic, specifically Great Highway, JFK Drive, Golden Gate Park, and various slow streets throughout the city. My question today is very straightforward, but I would like to put things in context. These measures have changed the way people recreate and travel around the city. While some have enjoyed a space to walk and bike, we know we can do better with safety infrastructure for cyclists and pedestrians. And others are frustrated by facing reduced public transit options and having to rely on cars to get around. I appreciated and respected your leadership on the Great Highway Compromise in August in directing General Manager Phil Ginsburg to reopen the Great Highway to vehicle traffic on weekdays. This has allowed the residents of my district in Richmond who do not have many north-south public transit options and must drive for essential travel to access the highway, while also providing residents a fully car-free promenade on the weekends and holidays. But the next steps for the Upper Great Highway are not clear. And the debate over making JFK Drive car-free has been going on for decades now. But thanks to the hard work of the Golden Gate Park Sustainable Travel Study Working Group, many solutions to address long-standing access and safety issues have been identified. Last September, thanks to all my colleagues here, this Board of Supervisors unanimously passed my resolution based off the working group's report calling for the creation of a beach to bay, car-free connection throughout Golden Gate Park from JFK Drive through to MLK Drive, so long as we address the access needs at 8th Avenue and the parking garage for people with disabilities and those living in underserved neighborhoods who lack efficient public transit to Golden Gate Park. SFMTA and Rackham Park have been conducting outreach on whether to reopen JFK Drive to cars when the emergency order is lifted. Unfortunately, this department chose not to pursue to include in their survey the option unanimously endorsed by the Board of Supervisors.
You still have time, Supervisor Chan.
Sorry?
You still have time if you weren't
okay.
finished.
Thank you. We know that over 10,000 people responded to SFMTA survey, and vast majority supported keeping JFK Drive closed to car. However, SFMTA also informed us that they're doing additional outreach because key demographics like seniors and communities of color and non-English speakers were underserved among the survey. Well, I could say this. As you know, Madam Mayor, we represent all of our constituents, and after spending almost entire 2021 discussing and listening to them, there's a notable divide on all these road measures, with both sides believing they represent the majority of San Franciscans. So I want to take this opportunity to learn what you envision for the future of JFK Drive, Great Highway, and slow streets. Thank you.
Is there a question?
I just want to take the opportunity to learn what you envision for the future of JFK Drive, Great Highway, and slow streets.
Okay, thank you. I think I understand what you're asking, but I just want to start by saying at the start of this pandemic, our decisions were about prioritizing the health and safety of our citizens. On our streets, that meant giving people more space to be outside, to physically distance while they socialize, exercise, and move around San Francisco. And as we start to look beyond the pandemic, we need to think about what we should continue and what we should reconsider. Right now, the city staff is engaging in an analysis that will support us as policymakers as we make those decisions. For example, Rec and Park and the SFMTA are collecting data to assess the current configuration on the Great Highway, which will inform the future use of that street. In Golden Gate Park, SFMTA and Rec and Park are seeking feedback on a broad range of proposals to improve access, equity, and mobility, with a plan to bring a proposal before the Board of Supervisors by this spring. And SFMTA is considering the long-term future of our slow streets by looking at what a permanent program could include, and they hope to formalize a proposal by this summer. None of these processes have been completed. And I want to wait to see what the data says and what the feedback says before we make any decisions. Ultimately, there will be some who will be happy with what we decide and some who will be disappointed. That's what we experience as policymakers every day when we make tough decisions. Ultimately, I am hopeful that after community feedback and data from San Franciscans throughout the city, not just in the neighborhood that you represent, but all San Franciscans, that we will then have the best data, the best input for how we make the decision on what is in the best interest of the city as a whole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Supervisor Chan, you may now ask a follow-up question directly related to the opening question.
Thank you. I just want to make sure how much time I got.
You're not timed on this question.
Great. Well, thank you, Madam Mayor, for sharing your vision for the future of these road measures and for allowing me the opportunity to discuss where
And real quick, Supervisor Chan, my apologies. Actually, 2 minutes to ask this question. My apologies.
No problem. I think I can finish within 2 minutes. Well, I lay out my vision for Golden Gate Park in my resolution, unanimously passed by the board, which would allow a portion of Golden Gate Park to remain car-free. That's where I stand. And for Great Highway, I supported the compromise you proposed in August, but in the long term, I would support creating a widened promenade for bicycle and pedestrians on one side of the highway and two-direction vehicle lanes on the other side. And slow streets, I do believe, should be decided on a case-by-case basis after properly determining the level of support from residents living in the impacted neighborhood. And that is where I stand. So the question I have, though, Madam Mayor, if I may say, that, I agree. We should gather data. We should see what San Franciscans want and then make the policy decisions. But regardless of that, though, at the end of the day, all these road measures deserve a transparent and inclusive public process led by city departments, which should really encourage compromises between all stakeholders rather than a winner-takes-all approach. My question is that, do you think the city departments at this point are actually being held accountable and really display in good faith a transparent process with honest, data-driven decision-making process? Thank you.
Well, unfortunately, based on your comments and your line of questioning, you seem to have a problem with the existing process and the way that things are going and the specific departments that are responsible for implementing this process. Ultimately, as I said, we are doing everything we can. These meetings are public. The process is transparent. A lot of stakeholders, various groups on both sides of the issues have provided their feedback to this particular matter. No decisions have been made. So as far as I'm concerned, these departments are doing everything they can to get the data that they need, to solicit feedback, and to help to make the best decision. And so to imply that this process is not transparent, that this process has not been open and fair is not a responsible way to try and gather what we need to make the best decision for San Francisco as a whole. It seems as though, I know that there are a number of people who are not happy and they want to hear a decision one way or another, and it's not going to be a winner takes all or one size fits all. It doesn't work that way. This is a major city, and it requires that when we make significant decisions like this, that people have a place at the table to provide input. And I have complete disagreement in some of the comments that you've made about there not being this open process, about there not being feedback from bilingual groups and other things, because that is far from the information that I have. I'd be happy to make sure that our various department heads engaged in this process provide you with that information so that you know that people are able to provide information and we're taking their feedback very seriously.
Thank you, Mayor Breed. And you may now ask a question to Supervisor Chan or any other supervisor in attendance pertaining to the same topic, but not necessarily related to the previous question.
Thank you, President Walton. I'm going to pass on asking a question. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present before the board today.
Thank you so much. And with no question from the mayor, Madam Mayor, we appreciate you. Madam Clerk, that concludes our mayoral discussion.